Hello, and welcome all of you to my YouTube channel, Mr. Expert. Today we are starting our fifth session on RESTassured test automation training series. In my previous session, I discussed with you how to run a get request, get API request. Today in today's session, I'll discuss with you how to run get and post tests. Let me start the demonstration. This is the training demo or the project we created, which is named as REST Assured Training Demo. I have created a package, and inside that, I have created a class called test scenarios.java. And in our last session, we executed a get request, and I showed you how to do assertions using REST Assured class. And for today's session, I'll create a new class. So let's go to this test package and simply right click on this one and go to new and create a class like this. As a best practice, you have to give meaningful names when you're creating classes. So let me name this as get post examples. So same as in my previous session, I'm going to deselect everything and say finish. So when I say finish, you can see the newly created class is created and opened like this. First let me create my very first function under this class. So I'll say public void. Void is the return type, and I'm going to give a meaningful name here as well. So let me say get test. And let me enter this, and yes, and then I'm going to create the test annotation as well. So make sure we import the annotations from testng. And if you do not get these auto suggestions, let me recall the things that I taught you earlier. So simply you have to press Ctrl and space bar in your keyboard, then you will get the auto suggestions. So in my last session, I did couple of imports. In my today's session, I'm going to import them on the fly so you can remember them easily. Yeah, so as the first step, I'm going to use give the base URI. Okay. Um, so in here also, if I press Control and Spacebar, I should get auto suggestions. But here, still I don't get any suggestions. This is because I haven't imported REST Assured here. So let me import it. I'll say import io dot rest assured, and in here I'll say rest assured, and I'll delete the semicolon. And since I want to use the methods directly, I'm going to do a static import here. So let me say static. Okay. Now now when we go to this base URI, and when I click Control and Space Bar, then I get the auto suggestions from rest assured. Okay, then we have to say equal, and within double quotations marks we have to give the base URI. So for that, let me go to the web page reqres.in. So for the people who joined initially for today's session, so let me show this REST API for testing. You have to simply search REST API for testing in your browser, and in here, if you scroll down a bit, you will get this website. If you click on this, you will be directed to a page like this. So in this page, they have fake APIs, so we can use these things for testing purposes. But in case if you have some APIs with you, you can use them as well for testing purposes. So they have all these types: get, post, put, patch, delete, everything, right? So I'm going to use this one. So this is the API endpoint. So let me click on this first. So in here, you can see this is the API URL or API endpoint. So I'm going to simply copy this part, and let's go to Eclipse, and I'll paste it here, and we'll put a semicolon here, and yeah, for the base URI, I'm going to use only up to this part. So I'm going to simply cut this one. So this becomes my base URI. Okay, then I'll say given. Now I'm going to do the assertion, right? So I'll say given. In here, also I'm going to use the suggestions. So let me use this one, request specification. And then I'm going to say get. And then I'm going to say then. Okay, within this get, we have to give the rest of the URL, which we have copied. Okay, then I'm going to assert the status code, which is very easy. I'll say 200. And if you want to finish this here, you can put the semicolon here. But I can do some other assertions as well. So let me go to this response first. So you can see this response is given, and it's not easy to read, right? So we can rearrange this so that we can read it easily. So let me copy the entire thing here, and you can go to your browser and search for JSON path finder. So if you go to this, you can select this one, and in here you can paste the copied URL here, and you can simply say this, click on this beautify button. Then you will see that your response is rearranged in a way we can read it easily, and in a JSON. Now it's in the JSON format, and okay. So using this JSON path finder, we can find the paths of different parameters, different elements. So let me say, for example, I want to access uh, this one where ID equals 7. That means ID of the 0th index. So for that I have to, since this is under this data uh, option, then I can go to this data and expand it. Since I want to access the 0th element, I'm going to expand the 0th uh, tree, right? Then I'm going to, since I want to find the path for the ID, I'm going to simply click on this one. Then in here you can see I can get the path here. Okay, so that's what I did in my previous example. But for now, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to access the email of the second element. So you can see this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2, right? So this is the second element. So I want to access the email of the second element. So let me expand this second element, and then I'm going to click on this email just to get the path, right? So that's how we are going to get the path. And also there are some plugins where you can install for your browser, so you can directly find the JSON path easily if you have a plugin. Okay, so let me again go to Eclipse, and I'm going to delete this semicolon and say dot, and I'm going to say body. Here also I should get the suggestions. Okay, for here I'm going to give this JSON path. Okay, I'm going to copy this one. Let me copy this and paste here. Okay, and in here I'm going to use equal to. Here also when I check the suggestions, I'm not getting the suggestions. So it's because I haven't imported the matches yet, right? So you can simply move to your previous class, and you can copy this one and you can paste it here. Okay, then you should get the suggestions from the matches class. Here I'm getting the suggestions from matches class. So let me here, and within this equal to, now we have to give the value here, right? That means the real value of the email. So again I'm going to this one, and I'm going to copy the URL email here. Here, right? Okay, Okay, then you have to, here you can see an error here, right? This is in red color. It's because we haven't put the semicolon yet. Okay, now you can simply save this and you can have a run. So let's see what happens. Okay, now it's green color, and if you go to the console, here also you can see status is passed. And so let me add some more suggestions. So in here we have accessed a specific element, right? Like specific index. Say for example, if you want to assert couple of elements, that means, see, let me explain this with an example. Suppose you have a set of students in your classroom and you want to find out um, special two students are there in your classroom or not. Then you have to check with the name of those two students, right? So for that, instead of using this equal to method, we can use has items. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. Then we have to say body. So let's check the response first. Yes, we can assert this first name, right? Um, so I shall say data dot first name, and then I have to say has has item has items, right? So in here again I'll show you how to do that. You have to select this one, items. Okay, and then in here you have to give the items. So let me give couple of names here. We'll say Lindsay. Okay, you have to copy from this first name, right? First name parameter. And then I'll pick another name from the latter part. First name. Let's pick George. Okay, so let me end this with a semicolon and save it. And let's run this as well. Yes, it's also getting passed. So if you move to the console, yes, its status is passed. So say for example, in case if you misspell this one, like if you like, I'm going to delete this O here, and let's save this, and let's rerun this. So it should give us a failure, right? Okay, it gives us a failure. It's because so let's check that failure. Yes, we get a very meaningful error message. So here you can see actual is this one, and expected here, right? So first name doesn't match. It says first name doesn't match, so it gives us an error message. So it's also correct. So let me add it again, right? Okay, so that's it about this get examples. Now I'm going to start the post example. So let me create a new function, public, return type is void, and let me name this as post test. Okay, so let me give the annotation as well. So in here, and okay, so let me go to the previous web page, and in here, take this example, and in here, when doing this one, we have to provide the body, um, or the payload, right? So there are several ways of doing this. So let me create a map object here. So it should come from util, and let me name this as map equals to new hash map. Okay, we can import it from here, right? So if you move upward, you can see these things are imported. Okay, now in here, this K and V stands for key and value. So we can give the data types as well for the key and value pairs. So let me just go to the this one. In here, you can see key is, so in case if you don't see this, okay. So in here, you can see the key is a string, and the value is also a string. But as a best practice, we normally give the data type of the key as a string, and value as an object. It can be anything, but uh, we normally give it like this. So in here also we can give the same thing. Okay, so let me end this with a semicolon. Okay, in the latter part of this session, I'll show you how to use JSON libraries to do this. And also we can populate the values to this object that we created. So I'm going to use this one. Um, so in here, if you press Control and space bar here, then you can select this one, string key object value. And in here, you can give anything. So I'll use the same example which is here, name and job. So let me give name here, and as the map, we can, or the value, I'll say John, and also I'll say map dot put here. I'll say job equals to maybe doctor. Yeah, then we can print the map object that we have created. So let's say sys and then okay. So now if we run this test, then we can see the map is getting printed. So let me do that. So you can run this from here, right click, and you can select this test ng test, and also you can run the test from here, this green color icon. So let me use this one for now. Okay, you can see the status is passed, which is in green color. So let me go to the console as well. In here you can see the map object has got printed here, right? Okay, but this is not in JSON format. So how are we going to print this in, or like give the output in JSON format? Okay, so for that you have to go to, we have to add a Maven library, right? Let me go to the Maven repository and add the JSON library, right? So there are actually several libraries. For example, Jackson. If you search like this, in here you get several things, and this is high performance JSON processor. So there are several processors. So there's another one called JSON here. This is coming from Google, and if you scroll down a bit, you can see a couple of things. And also there's another one called JSON in here, like this. Okay. So the most popular one is JSON Simple. So this is also coming from Google. So let me select this one, and let me select this. And yes, let's move forward with the latest version, and let me go to this. And same as earlier, which I showed in my very first session when we are discussing about the prerequisites that are needed to like continue with this REST assured automation framework. You can configure your POM file adding dependencies. So now also we are adding a JSON dependencies. Yes, so simply you have to copy this dependency here and paste it in your POM file. So let me go to my POM file, and in here you can paste it. You have to save it, and then let's go to this one. So after adding the dependency to the POM file, normally it updates when we say Control S and save our project. But in case if you do not, if your project does not get updated automatically, then you can simply click on your project and right click and select this Maven option, and then um, update your project, right? So soon after you are adding any dependency to your POM file, so you can update your project using yeah, this way, right? Go to just right click on your project and go to Maven and update project. Okay, now we can create a JSON object. So let me say JSON object and control and space bar to get the suggestions. Then I am getting the suggestion from JSON simple, JSON object, and then you have to give a name. Let me name it as request equals to new JSON. Again, I'm using the suggestions. Okay, so within this JSON object, within these brackets, I can give this map object which I have created earlier. Then simply you can print out this request, right? So let me see what happens here. Now I'm going to print the map object as well as the requests. Mm, So in here, if you go to the console, now you can see um, you you have printed the map object here, and you get the request in the JSON format here. And to like verify this, we can say to JSON string, right? I'm just validating this, right? So let me rerun this. Yes, and if I go to the console, yes, it's getting in the JSON format here. So I can directly use this one in the body. So so when we are using JSON libraries like this, we don't have to use a map like this, right? So let me comment this one, and like we can say request dot put I'll just copy this part, right? And again, I can say request dot, I'll copy this part. And then you can run this again without the map object. So you should get the same output as earlier. Okay, it's green color. So let me go to the console. Yes, we get the same thing, right? JSON in the JSON format. So we can use that as the body. Now we have the body with us. Then I'm going to use the base URI which I have used earlier. In my previous example. So let me copy this part. Okay, everything. And let me paste it here. Then I'm going to say given then I'm going to say body. So for the body, I'm going to use um, this request which I have created to like make sure I'll give two JSON string, and then I'll, I'll say when request specification dot I can say post. Then I have to give where I have to post this. So let me go to that previous example. So in here, I'll go to this API endpoint. So in here, after for the base URI, I used this part. So I'll use the rest of the URL within this post. Okay. Okay, then I can do the assertion. Sometimes when I enter, I get these things, so I have to delete them. Then I can assert the status code. Uh, Status code here we have to say 201. So 201 is for a successful creation. So I can explain these things later, maybe in a separate session, but till then I'll just give you guys an overview of what is HTTP status. So if you go to this one, here you can see uh, the status codes which starts from 1. They give this one, right? Informational response, and informational response indicates that the request was received and understood. For the status codes which starts from 2 stands for success, and which starts from 3 is for redirection, and which starts from 4 like 401 or things like that, they give client errors, and the codes which start from 5, they give server errors and things like that. So we can go and read them in detail, but for now I just want to show this one. 201 is for successful creation, right? So that's it. So let me just save this. Now let's run this post example after saving this. Yeah, before that you can edit the indentation as well, right? Um, like this maybe. Okay, let me save this and run. Okay, so status is passed, and if you want to like print this, let me use this one which I have, I think which we have, this we have discussed earlier, log dot all. Okay, so let me save this and yeah, again we can run this. Okay, so if I go to the console here, so you can see here, uh, this is created now. um, so I'm getting this from the server and created at this time. So yes, next thing I'm going to do to this is I'm going to add a header, right? So you might have seen that in API requests we get headers. So after this given, I can use header. Okay, so in here I can give content type and content type I can give as application JSON. So this is not compulsory adding a header, but I'll add it. And again I can say content type, and in here I can say content type should be JSON. Content type is JSON. Content type dot JSON, and I can close the bracket, and again I can say accept content type content type dot JSON. So what happens here is, okay, so we have to put the dot here, right? So now there are no any errors. Let's save this. So adding this header is not compulsory, but um, what is meant by this is the content I'm sending to you is of type JSON, and I also accept content type of JSON, right? So that's how it works. Let's save this and let's run this, right? Okay, so let me run this. Okay, so it's green color. So let me go to the console. Yes. If you go here, you can see the content type application JSON and everything is here, right? Okay, so that's it. So this is how we are going to create a post request. So in my upcoming sessions, I'll show you how to create some more post requests with some slight differences. So I think today's session was helpful for you guys. So let's meet in a new video. Thank you.